In the town of Afton, Oklahoma, there's a spot where highways 59, 60, and 69 merge with our beloved Route 66. It was here that Aline Kay and her husband Russell opened the Buffalo Ranch Trading Post in 1953. In those first few years, before U.S. Highway 66 was bypassed by the turnpike, they added a western store, a restaurant, and a little ice cream stand called the Dairy Ranch. Even though the Dairy Ranch has been gone for over 20 years now, the mention of it to longtime travelers and locals brings a sparkle to their eyes as they remember the woman that served them when they stopped by for a milkshake or a burger, Betty Wheatley. Betty Lou, as she was often called, worked at the Dairy Ranch since opening day and bought it outright with her first husband, L.K. McGuire, in 1958. She met and served thousands of travelers every summer. Tourists, traveling salesmen, local kids, every kind of person you can think of. In 1957, the Will Rogers Turnpike, also known as I-44, opened, and the Buffalo Ranch complex was officially bypassed. However, the stop was close enough to the interstate to still pull traffic, especially with their herd of bison as an attraction. But it was also the ice cream, and Betty, that continued to divert folks from the super slab and bring them to the Dairy Ranch. For over 4 decades, Betty was a mainstay at this little intersection of Route 66. In fact, locals didn't call it the Dairy Ranch, they just called it Betty's. Constant travelers would stop just to get a cherry limeade and visit a spell with Betty. Children that went to the Dairy Ranch for a snow cone later took their children there for a sweet treat, greeted by the same smiling, friendly face of Betty Wheatley. People have talked about growing up at the Dairy Ranch, not just as a customer, but as an employee. Betty is credited with teaching many high school students a strong work ethic and the value of being a good steward to the public. One young woman even came out to the Dairy Ranch on her wedding day to show Betty her beautiful new gown. After the death of Aline Kay in 1997, the days of the Buffalo Ranch complex came to an end. Dairy Ranch next door stayed open for a few years, but then also closed. A new travel center, bearing the name Buffalo Ranch, was built on site in 2003. Betty had been there when the original bison showed up in 1953 and was there again when the new herd arrived 50 years later. The owners installed a history display inside the service station that Betty stocked with memorabilia and artifacts from her years of service at the Dairy Ranch. I personally stop by often to take a look and spend a little time with Betty's memories. But that's not the end of Betty's journey on Route 66. Betty's retirement didn't last very long. She met and befriended Laurel Kane, who had opened up a Packard museum and gift shop in Afton at an old DX service station. They became fast friends, and before you could say, "get your kicks," she was a fixture at Afton Station, as a wealth of knowledge from her time working on Route 66 with a penchant for storytelling. Everybody in the community already knew Betty, and her presence was a welcome comfort after the loss of the Dairy Ranch. Betty not only told stories from her time at the local drive-in, but she loved local history. She still has a giant binder of Afton and Ottawa County history that catalog many of the stories she told travelers at the drop of a hat. Clarence Dawson's Southern Mansion, the Ribbon Road of Miami, the old alignment of Highway 66 on Fisher Farm, the comings and goings of roadside motels in Afton, Native American history, and all kinds of fun little Route 66 facts. Betty volunteered at Afton Station regularly until Laurel passed away in 2016. Her second retirement stuck, and she has since enjoyed spending time with her family, though she does still get a kick out of sharing her memories from her decades of service along the Mother Road. For her decades of service along Route 66, as both a business owner, history keeper, and person that could turn a 10-minute conversation into 2 hours, the Oklahoma Route 66 Association is proud to induct Betty Wheatley into the Oklahoma Route 66 Hall of Fame.